and say hi to everybody doing at home or during ninth period.
Hi.
All right. It does sound funny during ninth period, trust me. All right, so let's begin with, or continue with Columbian Exchange. All right, so the effects of the Columbian Exchange, the biggest effect on the people of the Americas was disease. Disease had the biggest effect of anything in the Columbian Exchange. More than any of the foods, more than any of the animals. And again, Europe totally benefits out of the Columbian Exchange. Europe is able to take their products, bring them to the Americas, grow them, make a profit. While at the same time, they're able to take products like tobacco, grow them in America, and make a profit off them as well. Now, we're going to talk about disease and livestock here for a second. So Europeans got diseases like smallpox, influenza over thousands of years. And these diseases originated actually with the livestock and animals. Then they spread to humans because they got them from drinking milk, eating the animals, living near them. But it was over thousands of years. And eventually the Europeans became immune to these diseases. However, when they went across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, they brought the diseases with them as carriers, which means they weren't sick, but they still carried the disease with them. And the American Indians got all these diseases at one time, and it wipes out an estimated 90% of the American Indian population dies because of these diseases. So, we have evidence of this in history, actually. As the English are colonizing the United States of America, they first become colonies of America. As they're colonizing them, we have evidence of the Indians dying. Let me give you some primary sources on this. There we go. Starting off with the colony of Roanoke. Roanoke is a very interesting colony. It was started in 1580. It is the first English colony, so it's the first city or establishment that the English want to establish in the New World. Now, actually, the colony of Roanoke gets wiped out. People come back there years later and it's gone. We don't know why. There's a lot of theories about this, but the English who went there, they disappeared. However, they did keep journals. And at the colony of Roanoke, there was a journal talking about the nearby Indian population, and it said they began to die quickly. The disease was so strange they neither knew what it was nor how to cure it. That was written in an English colonist journal, talking about the American Indian population that just even in 1580, the English had just got there and right away they were seeing the effects of disease spreading to the Indian population. 40 years later in Plymouth, Massachusetts, another colony. So 40 years later, Plymouth in 1620, there are accounts of diseases spreading there as well. One journal by a colonist at Plymouth writes that thousands had died in a great plague not long since, and pity it was to see so many good fields, so well seeded, without a man to dress and manure the same. Basically, they're saying that in Plymouth they see that there's all these fields that the Indians were farming, and they were empty. The people were gone. Well, what happened to the people? They died of disease. So the American Indians died of disease, and their farms were abandoned. So, in 1630, William Bradford of Plymouth Plantation wrote, he's writing about the victims who are dying from smallpox. But they fell down so generally of this disease, and they were in the end not able to help one another. No, not to make a fire, nor fetch a little drink to water, nor any to bury the dead. Now what happens is, as the Europeans establish more and more settlements, and as they start to live on the Americas and they move further and further in the interior, we see the native populations die as people of European descent continue to move further in America. For example, I'm going to throw some more years and names. You don't need all of them, but you can throw a couple of them on your final essay. In the year 1738, half the Cherokee population dies. Half the Cherokee nation dies in 1738. In 1759, the Catawbas, half of them die. 1759. In the beginning of the 1800s, so as the 1800s begin, 2/3 of the Omahas die. So we just see further and further as Europeans go into America, more and more natives die. Okay, let's move on. So the Columbian Exchange, one-sided, disease wipes out many of the natives, and because the land is cleared, Europeans are able to use all these crops and everything to enrich themselves. All right, let's talk business, capitalism, and joint stock companies. Capitalism and joint stock companies. First thing I want you to do is write a definition, and this is going to be capitalism, what capitalism is. Capitalism is an economic system. I'll start there, and some of you are probably already confused. So capitalism is an economic system. An economic system deals with how do we distribute or how do we give resources to people? How do people get their resources? Today, when we say economy or economic system, we often think money and jobs, which is used to get your resources, your food, your water, everything you need. So an economic system is just a way to get what you need, what resources you need. So capitalism is an economic system that's based on private property. It's based on private property. And it believes that people have the right to buy and sell private property. They have the right to buy and sell private property to make a profit, to make money. So you have the right to own private property and to make money off it. That might sound a little confusing, but it's pretty easy if you think about it because we live in a very, very capitalist society. For example, how many of you can think of a business or a place you can go where people sell private property? Where do you sell private property? Where do you see it? Houses. McDonald's. They own the restaurant. They're selling their property, which is their food. Samsung, they're selling their phones, tablets, computers. That's their private property. They copyright it and they sell it. So if I wanted to take my phone, which sucks, and I wanted to write Samsung Galaxy on it and try to sell it, would that work? Well, number one, it wouldn't work because everybody would know this is a crappy phone and not a Samsung Galaxy. But even if I tried to sell it as that, what would Samsung do to me eventually if I tried to do this multiple times? I would get sued, and I would lose. In capitalism, the belief is the government's job is to protect private property. So you can sell your own private property. All right, name some other companies in America that sell private property. There's tons. Start naming out loud, everybody.
Apple.
Beats.
Keep going. That's it?
Hershey.
Yahoo. Garage sales.
Walmart.
Target.
All right, hearing a lot of company names, good. These all sell private property. They're selling their private property. So that is the belief of capitalism, that you do that. And the belief is that it's self-interest. You're trying to sell private property to make a profit. And the belief is that's actually good for people. The belief is it's good for people because we'll have more stuff. Why? Well, do Samsung and Apple benefit us in some ways? We have better products, don't we? 15 years ago, we didn't have smartphones. Why do we have them? Because Apple wants to make money. Because Samsung wants to make money. They're not making them for the good of humankind and because they're nice people, are they? No, don't believe that's not true. So they might be good people, but they're trying to make a business. They're trying to serve people, maybe a little bit, but most part, they're trying to make money. People who work at Apple are working there because it's their job. They might like their job, but in the end, they're there mostly because it's their job and they're making money. Go ahead.
You know how they have the Apple conference thing?
Yep.
And they're like introducing that update thing, and the only thing that you can change, the only thing that changed was that now you can like on
You
your
get a
laptop.
notification and you site down, instead of like closing the app and going to the message thing, it would just pop up as a message thing right in front of there.
Apple's very good at presentation.
Yeah.
Very good at presentation. But this is what private property is. So let's bring this back to America now. America is founded on capitalism. The United States of America is founded on capitalism. We are. How do we know that? Because the very first permanent settlement that we have from the English, who come in and continue to build America, who come in to take over the colonies, which is where our country will really get its start, is on the English colonies. The first English colony that comes into America is Jamestown. It's the first English colony. There's a colony before, a Spanish one in Florida, but it doesn't really become the American government. So Jamestown is a corporation. Jamestown's a corporation. It's a business. So the first people came in England to live in America, they were as a business. What were they selling? It was a tobacco business. They were selling tobacco. So the first permanent colony in America is a tobacco company. A tobacco corporation, pretty much called Jamestown, and it was part of the Virginia Company. Quick question?
Wasn't that what the whole Pocahontas?
A little bit, yeah, Jamestown. If you're talking about the Disney movie, it's got a lot of problems. One of the biggest problems with the Disney movie Pocahontas is that I think Pocahontas was 12. Yeah, it kind of changes the story, doesn't it? And I don't think she would have been wearing a kind of like, miniskirt type looking thing. So, I don't know. When you take the age of the guy, Pocahontas, she's 12, makes it a little more uncomfortable, doesn't it? All right, let's keep going. All right, so anyway, capitalism and Jamestown. So what happens is they start a business. So there were people in England who wanted to make money. They hear that there's these colonies, there's this new world. There's this new world where they can start. So if I wanted to start there, though, I want to go start growing tobacco. It's a big business. I can make money, but I don't have enough money to go do by myself. So what do I do? Get partners. Yes. So what I do is I start getting partners, either people to come join me and do the same thing, and we'll all split our money together. But if I can't quite get enough money, what I might do is I might start selling stock or shares of my company. How do I sell shares of my company? Well, what I'll do is I'll go to unnamed student up here, since we're recording this. I'll say, you know what? My company, I'm going to go to Jamestown in the New World, and we're going to grow tobacco, and tobacco's becoming real popular in England. And what we're going to do is we're going to sell it, and we're going to make a profit. Would you like to buy 5% of my company?
Yeah.
All right, thank you for saying yes. So, if you buy 5% of my company, guess what now? You own 5% of my company. You get 5% of the profit. Forever, as long as we run. That's money that'll keep coming in investment. But if our boat's on the way there sink, you own 5% of the sunken boats. What are 5% of the sunken boats worth? Nothing. You own the piece of paper. However, if the company makes money, you own 5% of the company. Anybody else interested in buying some stock? All right. 5%?
Yeah.
I'll sell you 5%. Anybody else? 5%?
10%.
Deal. 10%. Done. So now what I do is I take money from all the stockholders and they invest in it, and it's a joint stock company. It is called a joint stock company. Jamestown was a joint stock company, which meant that people came together, they put their stocks together, they all bought, and this gave us money to go to the New World and to start a company growing tobacco and making money. And you guys were called the stockholders. What you were interested in, you were like, I bought this thing better profit, I want money. And if it wasn't profiting, who are you going to be talking to? The people who are running the company. Does that make sense? Because technically you own the company because you own stock in it.